just So Pretty Kitty. This is my vlog where I talk about all the things I love about sewing. So first thing on the agenda, after I say hi to everybody, welcome back, and hello to anybody that's new. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the things I made in April. I know it's a bit late, we're sort of like well into May now. But this month's been a busy one, and half the reason it's been so busy is because yesterday Lucy and I hosted the Sew a Skirt social at a nearby beautiful nature reserve, and I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that came along and supported us. We had the most fabulous weather. The scenery was breathtaking. Everybody had a really good go at making a skirt. There were 10 ladies all in all, and Lucy and I tried our best to get everybody to the finish line, but not quite. So people are going to be hopefully finishing their skirts at home, but we had the most wonderful lunch and everybody got to chat and hopefully learnt some new skills and went home happy. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that watches me that came along to the social. It was lovely to meet you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a little bit of footage of the day so you can have a look and see what we got up to, and I shall do that now. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a little snippet of our day yesterday. It was so much fun, and yeah, we just had a blast. It was amazing. So thanks again to everybody that came. It was wonderful to meet you all. So moving on to my makes, I've got 3 things to show you today. One of which is what I'm wearing, which is this rather fetching shirt dress, which I'm quite pleased with actually. So this is a Simplicity pattern, number 8014. And those of you that have been following me for a while will have seen the haul video when I bought this pattern, and you will know that I had planned on making version D, which is the more, I don't say it's not masculine, but it's not as flouncy as the other versions on there, and I thought that was much more my style, so I've gone for version D. In the picture it's in this lovely denim, and I've actually made mine out of a chambray, which is a type of denim that I got from the textile centre, and it was really inexpensive. I can't remember exactly how much I paid, but I bought it at the Knitting and Stitching show in Alexandra Palace, I think, and it was about £4-ish a metre, I think. So I'm really pleased with the quality. The only thing about it was when I first purchased it, it had yellow spots, and after I washed it, there were white spots. I don't know quite what happened there, whether they were meant to be yellow and they just washed out, or yeah. But anyway, I'm quite happy with the polka dots being white, that's fine. It's a nice weight, and it worked out perfectly for this shirt. So you can see it's got a really lovely collar and collar stand. The placket on the front is made by folding the fabric twice over to sort of make the placket, and then you go ahead and top stitch down the side. You might notice that I haven't put buttons on mine, I put snaps, and I went for a nice red colour, mainly because that's the only colour I had that I thought would contrast nicely, and maybe because I like a bit of a nautical theme, so I thought navy blue and red's always a winner, and I love a red shoe, so I went for the red. It's got patch pockets on the front here. The sleeves have little sort of cute fake turn-ups on them, which you can't see very well on there, but I'll show you the pattern again in a minute. There is a tie waistband, and the hem is curved slightly upwards, and that's done with a facing. Excuse my white legs. The sun has only just started to come out in the UK, so I am translucent at the moment until I pick up a bit of colour from the sun. So yeah, sizing wise, I put my body measurements onto a piece of paper. I'll show you actually. This is how I tend to choose all my sizes when I'm making these days. Put a little grid here so you can see I've got my measurements next to what the pattern measurements would be, which put me at a size 14. And then I looked at the finished garment measurements, worked out how much ease that would give me, and then decided that actually I would make a size 12 for the bust, and I would grade out to a 14 at the hip, because the bust measurement actually would give me 6.5 inches of ease if I'd made the size 14, and that would have been really baggy and unflattering. I haven't got the biggest bust at the best of times. I don't need any extra fabric around there. And I'd have 2 inches of ease at the hip, which I thought would be okay. So I've ended up with a dress that I'm really quite pleased with the fit on. As you can see in the picture, I think it looks pretty similar. There are some differences which I'll point out to you. So if you can see on here, if you look closely at her fake turn-up cuffs on the top of her arms, mine are a lot deeper than hers. So let me come in so you can see. I have no idea why that happened. I checked the measurements, I checked the pattern pieces several times over, and I don't think I made a mistake. But as you can see, it's come right up to just underneath the armpit there, or arm cyc. It's probably a nicer way to say it than armpit. So yeah, it's turned out quite deep, and I don't really know why that was. The sleeves themselves were a bit of a pain to set in. I haven't done a woven garment for a little while. Usually I make jersey garments and you just set the sleeves in the flat, so you before you sew your side seams up, you put your sleeves on, sew them in, and then sew the whole thing together. And it's been a little while since I made a woven, so I ran my gathering stitches around the sleeve head and set the sleeve in, and I think I probably unpicked that once or twice just to get it just right, because I really didn't want, and there's still a couple of puckers there, but I really didn't want masses of puckers here. And in fact what I ended up doing was taking that seam line back in again by about 1/4 of an inch, and that just made the armholes slightly larger, and it also brought the shoulders in just a touch, so they're right on the top of my actual shoulders. So I'm pleased with how they turned out in the end. The back has got, excuse me trying to show you this, a yoke. So can you see the yoke there? I hope you can see that. There's some really cute gathers in the top of the yoke, and I was pleased with how that looks. Yeah, and all in all, it was a really fun make. Sometimes there's something really, you get a lot of satisfaction out of taking your time over a garment and really just breaking the whole process down into little chunks, not trying to rush and finish it all in one go. So let me just check my notes that I made whilst I was making it, so I've told you enough. Yeah, I think that was it. Oh, the buttons. So if you look at the illustration, there are only 9 buttons, and actually the placket tells you to put 10 on, but I think I put 9 on in the end because I preferred the look of that with the slightly bigger gap at the bottom. Oh, and the tie belt was kind of difficult to turn through. That's the only other thing. And I have actually tried this dress on with a couple of sort of ready to wear leather skinny belts, and they look good too. So I can switch between the fabric belt and a normal belt, and I think that will work really nicely. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I will insert a twirl of me wearing it here. Okay, so I'm back with the next make, and I have to say this was fab. I now love scuba. I know I said I had a bit of a love-hate relationship, but I think if you get the right scuba and it's nice quality, then it is a lovely fabric to work with. So I'm excited to show you that I made another skirt. This was partly because we'd chosen patterns for the Sew a Skirt Social, and I've made 3 of these skirts now, but nobody else chose to make it on the day, so yeah, never mind. I have 3 beautiful skirts to wear, and I did make them for myself rather than for the social. But this pattern I've shown you before. This is a NewLook pattern K6843. It's a sort of tried and true. I've got the fit correct on this now. I can pretty much run one up in a few hours, and I know that every time I make it, it's going to fit me nicely. So I've made both versions C in the past. You might remember the mustard one, and also skirt B. I made a pleather version of that last. So this time I've made it out of scuba. The only changes I made to the pattern were I changed it so that the side slit was at the back, and I think I made a size 12 in this one. But I was a bit nervous because with a stretchier fabric you probably want to size down. So again, I did go through the whole process of looking what the finished garment measurements were. I very much wanted to treat this scuba as if it were a woven. I didn't want it to be skin tight. I wanted a really nice, smart, professional skirt to wear to work. And I think I've ended up with just, yeah, the perfect workwear. It's really pretty. I tried very carefully to get the pattern placement just right so that I didn't end up with anything sort of a rogue going on with flowers. But I'll stand up and show you, but of course we'll add some twirls as well. But here is the fabric, and I am just, love this skirt. It turned out really, really lovely. So I've sewn it up exactly as you would sew a woven fabric. I used a straight stitch. I didn't make it too tight, so there's no sort of like pressure on any of the seams anyway. Because it's a scuba, it doesn't fray, so it was easy to finish with just some nice clean straight lines inside for the hem, for example. I slip stitched the waistband down and put an invisible zip in the back. So this skirt pattern, I think it just calls for a normal zipper, but I always prefer, yeah, an invisible zip because I think you just get slightly neater finish. This pattern has got 2 darts in the back. I don't know if you can see here, which gives it really lovely shaping over your bottom. It's got the invisible zipper, which is hopefully fairly invisible, and a nice deep waistband. So this is the one change I made to the pattern. Having made it a couple of times in the past, the waistband is usually half that size, and I really much prefer and find it much more flattering to have a waistband that sits on the natural waist that's nice and deep. So that was the only change I made. I just made the waistband maybe 1.5 inches, I think, perhaps bigger, wider. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with this skirt, and I will insert a twirl of me wearing it here. So, back in my last of my 3 makes for April, and this is probably, I might be the only person who's never made one of these because they're so popular, but this is the True Bias Ogden Cami, and you can buy this pattern as a PDF and download it. And what I did is I had our local print shop print it onto A0 size paper for me, and then I just traced it off, and it cost £2.50 because life is too short, well, my life is too short for sticking together PDF patterns at the moment. There's just not enough hours in the day. So yeah, it's a little camisole, has a facing around the top here. These little cute straps, which I put a little video on about how to turn those inside out really easily using a straw and a kebab stick. So if you want to have a go at this camisole top, then definitely use that method because they just go straight inside out, like quick as a flash, no trouble whatsoever. So this is a quilting cotton, probably, more than likely. I got it from the Handmade Fair, and it was at, can't remember the name of the venue now, but it wasn't Hampton Court Palace, it was another one that was nearby in Wiltshire. And I don't remember the name of the stall I got it from, but I just saw the swans, and I'm a sucker for birds on fabric and just thought that's just gorgeous. So It's a navy blue background, or a mid-royal blue background, with some swans all over it, and they're all over the place, these swans, so it's a non-directional print. They've got little tiny orange beaks, which I just thought was so cute. And yeah, so here is my Ogden cami. As you can see, I'm wearing it today with a pair of ready-to-wear jeans, which is probably how I'm most likely to wear it most of the time, or maybe perhaps even with a pair of culottes, but sort of like straighter leg culottes. Because there's quite a lot of volume, it sticks out a lot, this fabric. And I think perhaps if you made an Ogden cami in a more silky fabric, perhaps something like a viscose or a fabric with viscose in it, or it would have a slightly more drape and be a little bit less structured. So this is not cut on the bias, this cami. A lot of camisoles are normally cut on the bias, I think, which gives them that sort of like drapey effect, but this one isn't. I can't remember what size I made, I'm afraid. I'd have to check, and if I check, I'll pop it in the comment box below so you know. But I think it fits pretty well. The only thing is it doesn't quite cover my bra strap, so I have got nude bra straps on. I did think that maybe the next time I make it, I might add maybe ½ an inch just down the centre front here, because this is cut on the fold, and then just redraft the neckline slightly and the facing, do the same with the facing, just to give me sort of ½ an inch more this way, so that it brings the straps out slightly, so that it will cover my bra strap. But I'm really pleased with it. I can't believe I haven't made one before now, because it's simple, fairly quick, and uses up, I could use up a small amount of fabric. I think I managed to get this out of 1 metre, and in the summer I'm sure I'll pretty much live in them because they're so cool and breezy. So I'm going to insert a picture or a twirl of me wearing it here. So there we are, 3 makes for April, not too bad going, one of which was quite an involved make, so I just was really enjoying the slow sewing, and I think sometimes that's what sewing calls for, you know, not rushing. I've got a couple of things cut out to make for May. I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself this month. I've got some work commitments to do, so I've cut out a couple of items. In my recent haul video, you will have seen this fabric, and I'll put a card up here so you can link back to that video. It's a mustard, and I've got it in this, it's mustard Ponte Roma. I've got it in a project bag ready to go. So this is the way I'm trying to do more sewing these days. Time is kind of precious, especially when you're busy, you've got a family and a job and other things to be taking up your time. So what I'm trying to do is be a little bit more organised, see my sewing in steps. The tracing and the sorting out of the pattern size, cutting the pattern and the fabric out is a different step entirely to the actual sewing, which is the part that everybody just loves, right? I mean, everyone wants to crack on to the sewing part. So I figure if I cut a couple of projects out at a time, have them all prepared with the pattern in the bag. So this one hasn't got the pattern in there because this is going to be the Kinder Cardigan. And that is from the book Sewing with Knitted Fabrics by Wendy Ward. And there's actually a picture of the Kinder on the back, but I'm going to make the slightly longer length version that sort of hits mid-thigh. Here's one here, sort of in a grey Ponte. So I'm going to go for that in the mustard. Oh, all my patterns are on the floor now. Never mind. And I think that will work really well with that skirt I've just shown you, because there's mustard tones in that fabric and I bought it at the same time. I think it'll also work really well with jeans. It'd be nice to throw on in the summer when it's slightly chillier in the evenings. And because it's a knit sew and I'm going to do most of it on my overlocker, it shouldn't take too long to run that one up. So that's one plan. And the other plan, also from the fabric haul that I just recently got from Fabricland, is to make this birder pattern, and I talked about this in my last video, not the last one, but you know what I mean. It's 6664, and it's a really simple kimono style wrap dress which I've made before. I laid my pattern pieces out on this fabric, and this fabric is really narrow, and I only just managed to squeak it out across the width once I'd folded it. So yeah, just be cautious if you are buying the gingham fabric that I talked about in the last haul video, because I think if I'd been making a larger size dress, there's no way I would have got it all out, because it's a kimono. It's obviously got grown on sleeves, so the pattern pieces are really quite wide, and I ended up having to just shave. I think I cut the size 12, but at the end of the sleeve I took it down to the 10, just to take a tiny bit out of the width of the pattern so I could get it actually on the gingham to cut it out. So yeah, just bear that in mind. But this is a really nice sort of big check gingham, and I think it's going to be a nice sort of breezy, easy to wear dress for the summer. I've also got another plissé skirt to make. So I showed you this fabric before. I bought a little bit more from Fabricland. They call it pleated fabric, I think. And it's this really beautiful sort of glitzy rose gold shimmery fabric with tiny pleats in, and I have self-drafted children's skirts and a skirt for myself, and that is going to be for my niece who wants to look like my kids, because I've made both of my girls plissé skirts now. So if you're interested in how that all works out, then hop along to the Stitch Sisters vlog, because that tutorial is awesome, and you get a great sense of satisfaction from drafting your own pattern. That's awesome. So I know I could do it again, and if I say awesome any more times, I'm really going to annoy everybody. So that's the end of my vlog today. Thanks so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe, usual stuff. Everything, the details will be in the drop down box below. And I will see you next time for hopefully, fingers crossed, I find the time to do that tutorial I've been banging on about for weeks on end. Alright then, see you later.